Hello, bienvenidos, mi gente. Another episode of Hoy en Día TV. What a beautiful and lovely day. We are alive, we are kicking, we are well, we are breathing, smiling, the whole shebang. Yes, we're blessed because we get another day here on this beautiful earth to do positive things within our family, for ourselves, and of course, for the community, right? And I am your host, Yessi Rodriguez. I'm going to bring on my co-host, Manny Morales. Manny, welcome.
Bendiciones a todo el mundo, ¿cómo estamos? How's everybody been? How's everybody doing?
Yes, thankfully alive and well and kicking. How are you?
I'm good. The week was pretty eventful. Trying to work on my car, the storm, stuff like that. Yeah.
Good old storm, just mushiness into our lives. How are things out by you after the storm?
It's good. It's not bad. I don't live too close to the water. I work close to the water, but I don't live too close to the water. So we just get a lot of rain, and the houses that are surrounding me usually block most of the wind. So
Gotcha. Okay.
How about yourself? How's everything up there?
Thankfully good. We got a lot of rain, and what was it? I want to say it was last Wednesday and Thursday. The governor declared for North Carolina declared a state of emergency. So there was flash flood warnings, and they were warning people if you don't have to drive, don't unless it's a dire emergency. So thankfully we're good, but a lot of people, especially closer to the ocean. They got affected, unfortunately. So, yeah. But I'm like you, we're inland, so it's just a lot of rain and flash flood warnings.
That's crazy.
I know it's.
Did y'all? When do y'all go back to school? Like the kids?
You know what's interesting? Some kids they have different schedules for some reason. Some that I know of personally. Some have year-round schools where they track out for either 9 to 13 weeks. Some went back early, like the first week in August. Some go back at the last week of August, and some go back after Labor Day. So it's just I don't really understand why it's all over the place. But I guess it's not for me to understand. Understand.
Well, they went. The kids went back to school today here in Florida. I don't have kids. Well, I don't have young kids. Mine's a grown, but it was a lot of stressful parents, a lot of pictures on social media.
Wow.
Right. Going to school.
So is it just one set day that they go to school, or is it similar to
here in Jacksonville? I know here in Jacksonville. I don't know about anywhere else in Florida, but I know here in Jacksonville, everybody went back to school. Kids, elementary to high school. So, yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned that you notice a lot of parents were stressed. Why do you think that is, Manny? Is it because it's school jitters for them and the kids? Is it because you're stressed out about work-life balance, family? Why do you think that is? What are your thoughts on that?
Hay muchas cosas. Like a lot of schools these days, porque la violencia, they make people, the kids wear uniforms now because people are either making fun of the way other people dress, or they're stealing people's clothes or whatever. So they're making a lot of schools here wear uniforms. And I know one person, her son went to school for the first time. I think it was kindergarten. I want to say kindergarten. The place that they sent her to get the uniform, the shirt, with their little logo on it, like $50 a shirt. Well, yeah, I think she said it was $50 a shirt. Like, why? What?
Eso es caro. ¿Por qué tan caro por una camiseta que $5?
For a 5-year-old, why? Why does $50 shirt? Why? I don't get
it. That's sad. That's really bad.
So, and a lot of single parents, single moms, are trying to make ends meet, and then have to buy a $50 shirt. So it's like, it's stressful. And then having ayuda with the kids trying to get them to school or have somebody watch them while they're at work. So it's really stressful. Shout
Right.
out to all the single moms out there that are holding it down. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
Right. Y los padres también, los papás que son solteros, tienen que hacer el mismo trabajo también.
No hay
No es,
mucho, pero hay allá afuera. Es más la mujer, pero there are some men out there that. My grandfather was one actually. My
really.
grandfather, my mom's mom, for some reason, didn't want her kids after she had them. So my grandfather raised my mom. He took her from Puerto Rico when she was 13.
Wow.
She just went back probably almost. I want to say it's almost been 10 years. She went back and she doesn't want to leave. That's her home. She actually met her mom, and that was one of her life goals, to meet her mom and find out why she didn't want her. Like, that's weird to me. Pero hay
Right.
mamás allá afuera que no que quieren, vacilar. They want to go out and party.
Right.
So,
Wow.
like
Wow, that's deep.
my mom's mom was one of them. And
¿Tu
now,
mamá tú dices?
huh?
¿Tú dices que tu mamá era una?
No, la mamá de ella.
Tu abuela, bueno, sí, tu abuela. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I don't really
You
know
don't
her.
really call her abuela?
Well, I know. No.
That's respectful.
But she's lived a long life, and I think that's her karma for treating her children bad. She's still here. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up when I asked you that question, you brought up the example of work, because I do understand that a lot of parents, muchos padres, se estresan por el trabajo. They stress out a lot about work. And so the other day, I came across a really interesting post on my IG that I wanted to read out loud as food for thought, para que gente piensen la importancia que uno le da al trabajo sobre la familia, right? So it says, a coworker died 2 days ago. HR is busy cleaning out her office, and they talk of posting her position. Meanwhile, a family is grieving the loss of a beloved wife and a mom. This is a reminder that you are replaceable at work, but you're very invaluable at home.
Right.
Don't make work your life.
Sponsored by Divine Beauty and Accessories.
The way society is now, y como tan la cosa que tan sacan caro. Like,
Right.
you have to be at work most of the time, doing, most of your day. Especially with single moms, they don't have help, and a lot of them, muchas de ellas no le preguntan para ayuda de los padres, or they don't take them to court. They have that pride, or there's some of them are scared. Pero it's definitely difficult. It's really hard. And then there's fathers out there that really don't care. I don't understand why you would make a child and not care about it. It's not the child's fault that
Right.
they're here.
Right.
It's sad.
No, you're right. And and you make another valid point. That is one of the many barriers that people nowadays do face.
Right.
And language is another barrier that a lot of people face as well.
Yes, especially here. There's a lot of Spanish people que vienen de la isla, or they come from, a different country, and they don't speak the language, so it's like difficult. And they stay in their community because they speak their language, but they limit themselves, because they don't venture out of their comfort zones.
Tienes mucha razón, se quedan en la situación cómoda, no quieren salir o hacer otras cosas. Sí, tienes mucha razón. Y por eso, our special guests today, they're all about the language.
Exactly.
Helping you learn and coaching you and bringing support groups together to help you with language.
Yes.
And so we're going to bring up our first guest. So our first guest is a conversation coach. She is CEO of Speak Ready Squad, and the goal is to help non-native speaker with conversational English. So welcome to Hoy en Día TV, Rachel Tobol.
Bendiciones. ¿Cómo está?
Bendiciones.
Hola, hola. ¿Cómo están ustedes?
Muy
Yeah.
bien, gracias a Dios. So tell us,
Yeah.
¿quién es Rachel? Cuéntanos, ¿quién es usted?
So I'm Rachel. I am an English conversation coach, and I love what I do. And I think it's because, like you were saying, I love to bring something to society where people can not be in their bubbles.
Mhm.
I was that person. I lived in many different countries around the world, and
Right.
I would stick with my English speaking friends or, new coworkers. And I was like, man, I'm not just traveling, I'm actually living in this country. I want to speak the language. And so I went out and first of all, I've always wanted to be a teacher, but I also always wanted to understand other cultures and like how they think because of their language.
Right. Right.
And so that's basically what I've gone out and done now. I went and learned Spanish and Hebrew. I learned a little bit of Korean when I was there, but not a lot. And now I'm helping others to get past that barrier in English.
That's awesome. That's definitely awesome. I
Absolutely.
I remember when I first met y'all. I actually found y'all from Yaya. She posted something about both of y'all, and I was like, "Oh, that is cool! Like, it's amazing what y'all are doing for the community, and especially down here in Florida where there's so many language barriers. Um, it's just amazing that you are so selfless that you put yourself out there and bring comfort to other people because having a language barrier you get nervous and scared around other people because you feel like I know when I was a kid um, speaking Spanish, like I was really nervous, so I wouldn't speak it. You know what I'm saying? So I understood everything my mom would tell me, like, but actually speaking it, I felt like if I said something wrong, somebody was going to make fun of me, and I really wasn't trying to have that. So I know a lot of people that have that language barrier might feel the same way, and just having you help them, that brings a special light into their life. That's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people always say, like, I just want to feel like myself in English or in that other language. Like,
Hmm.
you're sitting there, you're listening all the time, and you're like, I just want to talk. People think I'm boring. And I'm like, you're so not boring. I had to tell myself also when I was going through it, like, you're not boring, you're just learning. And
Right.
when we're kids, how do we learn to speak a language? We listen.
Right.
So we listen and listen, and then eventually we get to that point where we can speak, and then we have to keep practicing that speaking.
Hmm.
And it takes time, and but eventually we get past that um, that block where we can't speak anymore, and we're like, okay, I can say some things, and then we do little more baby steps, and then eventually you're able to communicate fully, and it's just amazing to see
Right.
and to experience.
That's
That
awesome.
is amazing. Absolutely. So earlier when you introduced yourself, you mentioned that when you would travel, you noticed that you would stick to your English speaking bubbles in different country. At what point did you have the epiphany to say, let me step out of my comfort zone and learn more of the language?
Um, so I'll talk with the most recent experience. So I lived in Israel the past 11 years, and
Right.
I went there to teach English, and I ended up getting married, like meeting my husband and getting married and having kids.
That's beautiful.
And yeah, and I didn't know any Hebrew when I went there. I only knew like the alphabet and how to ask where the bathroom was. And I was working in some schools, and I would go to the meetings and to talk about the students, and I always thought, wow, it really sucks. Like, I just can't contribute like I want to the meetings. And so I started going to classes and practicing with anyone who, like, at all the grocery stores and at the coffee shop, and whoever would talk to me.
Right.
And they all wanted to practice their English, and I'm like, no, you have to speak to me in Hebrew. I must speak Hebrew. And then we moved from Tel Aviv, where everyone would speak English, to another city. And I told myself, I won't speak only English. Like, I have to have Hebrew speaking friends that don't know English. And so I started making friends and communicating on WhatsApp and the kids' in the parents groups.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, hey, anyone, just asking people if they want to hang out, and mostly my kids' friends' parents, so that way, like, the kids could play and I could just like invite them for coffee, and then they could practice my Hebrew with them. And then I eventually got really good, where I could say I'm fluent now. And so I think the main switch was moving cities and not knowing anybody in that city. So I was like, this is my chance to really get it now.
Right. You had to force yourself to actually learn the language.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense too, because you were exposed to it the whole time you were there, 11 years in Israel. So that's great that you were able to catch on and help people speak English, and they helped you speak Hebrew. So that's amazing.
Yeah. It was
And now,
it was a
I know
challenge,
you
but it was
also
fun.
Spanish, right? También habla español.
Sí, no es perfecto, es menos de la hebreo,
Sí,
Ah.
sí.
pero entiendo todo y me gusta hablar español. Cuando estaba en escuela, en
Sí.
universidad, my major was Spanish.
Oh, nice.
Sí, y estuve en España and Costa Rica. I lived there, like, viví allá, en España para ¿cuántos meses? Y en
Sí.
Costa Rica para un año.
Oh, okay.
Pero después de los países,
Sí.
no hablé español 11 años, like 11 years, until I got back to
Right.
Florida now.
Pero te oyes bien, yo entiendo lo que me estás diciendo.
Yay,
good.
good.
Sí, eso está bueno. Well, that's
I've been practicing. Yeah.
Good. That's good. So what got you started teaching English? Like how did that transpire when you got here to Florida?
So I wanted to be a Spanish teacher when I was growing up. Like, that was what I wanted to do when I was in college. I was like, I'm going to be a Spanish teacher. I'm going to be so much fun. And then I went to Spain to get better at Spanish.
Okay.
And then I ended up, when I finished college, I went to Spain again. I went to Spain 4 times, and I went back there to do my English as a second language certificate.
Oh, okay.
And then just to have something else also. And because I didn't want to live in America anymore, I was like, afterwards, I was like, I have to go live in another country. Like, I just feel like I need to be somewhere else. That's just my calling.
Right.
I'm like a wanderer. And then I was in Spain. I was like, I can't teach Spanish in Spain because, like, obviously I'm an English speaking American.
You're gonna
So
be like,
I was like, okay,
really?
if I go and get my English certificate, then I can teach anywhere in the world.
Okay.
And so then I went to Costa Rica and I tried to teach English there, but they wouldn't hire Americans and Spain was too expensive. So so then I went to Korea and I taught in Korea for a year. And then after Korea is so much fun and it's such an awesome country, but it's just the culture is so different. It wasn't a place that I thought that I could stay longer. And then I was trying to find another country that I could live in, work in, and because I'm a Jewish, I could get citizenship in Israel.
Okay.
And so then that's where I just ended up staying the whole time. But that's how I got started, and it just kept going from there.
So that was definitely a journey, for real.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you met your husband, got 2 beautiful kids, and that is awesome. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. Yeah. So being from, well, let me rephrase the question, traveling to different countries, how did you feel? Because I know sometimes you may get that fish out of water feel, I'm somewhere where I don't know, like you said, learning the culture. How was that for you? What did you do to kind of ease yourself to feel more comfortable in where you were?
So I love meeting people and just like exploring little neighborhoods and staying out of the touristy things. I just love like walking around, getting lost. So there's been a few times where I've taken the bus too far or I've gotten lost.
Lord.
But I thrive on it. Like I feel more disconnected when I'm in the place that I know than when I'm out there, because then I'm forced to have to communicate and make new friends and talk to people. So I kind of thrive on that that excitement of not knowing what's happening.
Hey, no, that I see your point. And so how did you make sure that you stayed safe? Because nowadays with so much stuff happening, like from your safety standpoint, I get that you thrive off of it for safety purposes, especially for people that want to travel internationally. What would be some of the recommendations that you would share with them when traveling to a different country to make sure that they're safe and sound?
Sponsored by Collective Wear.
Good question. I always had Google, like I always told a friend, and a friend would have like follow me on Google on the maps. So you can always we would keep track of each other. That's one really good way. When I was traveling, most of the time I was also with a friend. So I wasn't usually alone. Most people like to be alone. Like a lot of people that I met like traveling alone. I prefer one other person. So, because I do get lost, so is having someone like kind of steer me in the right direction. And yeah, just I think really making sure that other people know where you are and can follow you just in case, and they know, okay, she's going on a trip today. I know where she's going, and I kind of have an idea, so that way, if I need to keep an eye out, we're safe.
Right.
Yeah. And to talk to a lot of people, because when you talk to a lot of people, then like, oh yeah, I saw her or I saw him, and then they can spread the word.
All right.
Okay,
so Gypsy Traveler, what brought you back to the States?
So we were planning on moving back at like this summer, but it ended up getting pushed up. We moved back in October because of the war in Israel. So I ended up moving back about 8 months earlier than I expected. It's very traumatic over there right now, and I thrive off of positivity, and it's really difficult situation. It's hard to talk about because there's so many sides to it and so many opinions, and so it really and I was working in both sectors, the Jewish and the Arab sector, so I feel very close to many people on both sides, and it was really hard to like find a balance of not hurting and not stepping on anyone's toes and hurting anyone's feelings. And I just reach out to all innocent people all over, because what our governments choose is one thing compared to what the people really want.
Exactly.
It's a massacre and it's traumatic. And I didn't eat for like 20 days, something like that. Like I just couldn't physically eat because I was so sick to my stomach. So yeah, what brought us here is not the best, but we are working on it's hard to talk.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I understand.
Yeah, I definitely get it.
And I thank you for sharing just that glimpse of your experience, because I know it's very traumatic, like you were sharing. And I thank God that you and your family were able to safely make it back to the States where you can feel comfortable and safe again, you know. And my heart and prayers do go out to all of those families that are affected, that are still being affected to this day. And so please know that there is hope. Stay positive. I know it's easier said than done. I get it. It is. But it's all about mind over matter.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think so.
So tell us more about the business that you have, Speak Ready Squad. So how did this come about? How did one day you say, let me start a business called Speak Ready Squad? What sparked that?
I love this. Okay, so last summer, or I guess it was a year ago, probably. Yeah, exactly a year ago. I was here in Florida, and because I would come back every summer. And I was like, if we're planning on going to be in the States, I want to be completely free from the education system. And I want to be working for myself and have my own business, and to coach adults instead of teenagers. And I want to just be completely on my own. And so I started building this business and getting clients mostly from Israel, and teaching them virtually. And then as I got here, I got the position at the University of North Florida, teaching in their evening program twice a week. So it's helped also to generate leads. So I've been not taking students from there, but in addition to their studies from there, I'm also helping them with their speaking, because there it's a mix of it's all of the aspects. And here it's the Speak Ready Squad is just focusing on speaking and building that skill. So I just love it. Like I was saying earlier, I always see people who they want to speak, and they're like, please, I'm such a fun person. I want to speak, and I keep forgetting words, and I keep blanking out. And so I help them to overcome that mindset block of changing the way that they think about speaking. And we focus a lot on breath work and on breathing before we speak, in order to, instead of saying, I can't think of the word, they can pause and they can start to think about what they want to say, and then they can speak it. And then we just work on building vocabulary and conversation. And it's just so much fun. It's like a lot of people will say, oh, you're like my therapist. I have my therapist in my language, and then I come to you when I practice my therapy in English.
That is awesome.
Yes.
It sounds like you're definitely positively impacting people, and that's a beautiful thing. And so with that, you mentioned that you do virtually. So I'm sure after this broadcast, or we're broadcasting now, people are going to want to hit you up. So how can they find you? Do you have a website, or is there like an email address that they can reach out to you at if they want to work with you virtually and they're not specifically in your area?
Absolutely. I mostly work virtually. My Instagram is where I'm the most active. It's Speak Ready Squad. And then I have a website that's being built right now, but it's speakreadysquad.com. And my email is rachel@speakreadysquad.com. Rachel@speakreadysquad.com. Yeah, at Speak Ready Squad.
I can't think of speakreadysquad.com.
Wait. Yeah, you said the end of an email is .com, right? I'm like blanking out on that.
Yeah. No, you're funny, Rachel. I love it.
So yeah, it's all with Speak Ready Squad. So Instagram Speak Ready Squad, website speakreadysquad.com, and Rachel at speakreadysquad.com is my email.
Your email, perfect.
And
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we're definitely going to talk more about Speak Ready Squad throughout the show, but we are going to bring on our next guest, who also is in the language profession. Her name is Kamila Ruiz, who's owner and host of Jacksonville Spanish English Group. Welcome to Hoy en Día, Kamila.
Bendiciones,
Hi.
¿Cómo estamos?
Saludos, ¿cómo te estás?
¿Cómo te sientes?
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Ustedes?
Bien, bien. Un poco cansado del trabajo, pero tú sabes cómo estás, cómo es.
Pero sí, yo estoy bien, gracias a Dios también. Y feliz que te tenemos aquí en el show junto a Rachel. Y Camila, explícanos más de su negocio, es owner and host de Jacksonville Spanish English Group.
Uh-huh.
¿Y qué es el grupo y qué se enfoca?
So it's not a business, and thanks for mentioning it like a business. Actually, it's a hobby of mine because I'm not making money of it right now so far. One day, I hope. It's a group, it's a conversation group where people from different cultures come together to practice their language, the second language that they are learning. It could be Spanish or English. So this is a safe space for people to come and practice the conversational skills.
Oh, okay.
That's
¿Y
amazing.
cómo empezaste eso? ¿Cómo empezó eso?
Yo me mudé a los Estados Unidos en el 2019 y vivía en Nashville. Y en Nashville empecé a participar en un grupo de español-inglés de conversación. Hice muchos amigos allí. Y luego, por el trabajo en el que estaba, me transfirieron, or the work transferred me to Jacksonville. And I started looking for the same group, something like a community where I could make friends or meet people, but there was nothing. So I was like, okay, well, if there's nothing, then I have to create it. I'm gonna build it. And so I replicate the group that I went in Nashville. I opened the same group in Jacksonville, and it was in 2019. But due to COVID, I had to close the group, and I reopened it a year ago, actually in August of 2023.
Okay.
That's amazing. And so what can people expect when they come to visit your group? ¿Cuál es el atmosphere, the ambiance? ¿Cómo se sienten usualmente?
They love it. They love it to the point that they want to come back. We have the group every other week. We meet in different locations in Jacksonville. So basically, I like to host it in breweries because it's easier to have a drink and have a conversation. What they can expect is to have activities. We facilitate icebreakers. We facilitate the conversation for them to practice the second language. Our methodology most of the times is that we have 1 hour in Spanish where everybody speaks Spanish, and then we have the second hour in English where everybody speaks English, because it's not only a space for people to come and take, but also to give. So they practice the language that they are learning, but they also give to others and help others to practice the other language.
Okay. So, what kind of people come to to your class? Excuse me. Like, what the majority of la gente que idioma hablan?
Sí, la mayoría de las personas, puedo decir que el 80% de las personas son personas que hablan inglés como su primer idioma y están aprendiendo español. Y esto es algo de lo que me motiva porque yo soy colombiana. Mi primera lengua es español y se me facilita enseñar o ayudar a otros. Y una de las cosas que me motiva al grupo es que americanos les gusta mi cultura, les gusta mi idioma y quieran aprenderlo y quieran poder viajar a otros lugares donde necesiten su español. Entonces, eso es muy halagador o flattering para mí. Por eso continúo haciendo este grupo.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah. Y para la gente interesada en saber más de tu grupo, participar contigo, con el grupo, where can they find information on your group, where you're going to be next, etc.?
So we have an Instagram account. You can find us at Jacksonville Spanish English. But the group is most of the time if you download the Meetup app, you'll find the events there. So it will be easier for you to see the location, to see the time, to see and to RSVP. And to see who other people are going to the group, because there's people from different cultures, different ages, like young people or the older people, and different cultures and different English and Spanish levels. So there's not only advanced people, but also beginners and intermediate. So yeah, you can find us on the Meetup app and on Instagram.
Okay, awesome. That's amazing. And before you started this group and before moving here to the States, did you learn any English or study English in Colombia?
Yes, I actually went to a bilingual school. The name of my school is Abraham Lincoln School. So I learned a lot about Abraham Lincoln. I know his birthday is on February 12th. I learned about the Pilgrims and Thanksgiving. So I knew a little bit about American history and culture. And because I was in this school, I had a lot of influence on the music, on TV shows, on actors and entertainment. So when I came here, it was easier to kind of like be part of this culture and learn and kind of blend in with this knowledge.
Nice. Okay. Great. And so tell us your upbringing. Were you always in Colombia, or I assume like that's where you were born, or did you move from?
Sí, soy colombiana, pero viví un año en España, en Barcelona. Fui a hacer un máster en logística. Y he viajado mucho por muchas partes, me encanta viajar. Y después de haber estudiado en España, sabía que no quería vivir en Colombia porque sabía que el mundo era más grande y me encantan mucho las culturas. Entonces se abrió una puerta en Estados Unidos y me mudé para aquí.
That's amazing. And so te voy a preguntar una pregunta similar a lo que le pregunté a Rachel sobre safety, traveling to different países. Rachel gave us her feedback and her, what she would recommend and what she did when she was traveling to different countries. From your perspective, what are some things that you would consider from a safety standpoint that you would recommend to the listeners and viewers of Hoy en Día TV when traveling to different countries?
Safety. So I agree with what Rachel said. I don't like to travel by myself. I like to travel with someone else. So my recommendation is to not travel alone, especially when you're a woman. You're more vulnerable, even though we are strong and we can be strong and independent, but it's just for just for safety reasons. My recommendation is not to travel alone, but with someone else. And sharing your location is something very smart, at least with your parents or with someone that might not be in the same country, but with someone that can see where you are, and I don't know, in case of anything that can happen, I don't know, it's better to share your location and not travel alone. That will be my recommendation. And of course, not talking like you would not to be very naive. Like you can, we like to talk to other people, we like to meet people, but at certain point we have to like not be that so open to everybody.
Oh, okay. So what's next for Jacksonville Spanish English? You were telling us a little bit about that off stage.
What is next? So Jacksonville Spanish English is not only a group that we have in Jacksonville. Actually, it's bigger. We are part of the Nashville Spanish group where I belong, and we also have a group in Mexico City. We are opening another group in Alabama, and also we're opening another group in Colombia. So we are expanding because we are committed to contribute to society, to help others practice in their language. Because you can learn a language and you can learn it through an app, an easy app like Duolingo. But then, if you don't practice your conversation, then you you're not exposing yourself. You're not putting yourself out there to see that you what you really learn.
Right, right. So are you doing them virtual, or are they just specific groups that are just in that city? Like, do the other, like from Colombia, do they watch y'all here in Jacksonville, or is it just there in Colombia and Mexico?
Yes, we our groups are in person, and we want to keep it like that because we
Okay.
know that having that connection in person makes everything different. So our groups are in person, and when I say we're opening groups in these cities, is because we have people that wanna host and replicate what we have done in Nashville, in Jacksonville. So we're opening in-person groups.
Yeah, that's awesome. Y'all need to get some sponsors. For real.
Yes, I actually that's what is next. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of people here in Jacksonville, como te estaba diciendo, um, the language barrier here, hay mucha gente que habla en español o otro idioma y no saben inglés o quieren aprender inglés o como los americanos quieren aprender español. So it's like y'all ladies are amazing. Like when I first heard about y'all and then I did my research, I was like, this is perfect for Hoy en Día TV. Because what do we do here, Yassi?
We positively motivate, enlighten, educate, inspire, and of course, entertain. Woo woo! Listeners and viewers of Orientia TV.
Yeah, like it was perfect. Like I just y'all are, even though you probably don't hear it from people, like y'all are a pillar. Like y'all inspire other people to be better. The classes that you have, that's why people come, because y'all are so friendly and warm and inviting, and
Mhm.
they can relate to y'all, and it's amazing what y'all are doing. It's definitely amazing.
Absolutely. And my hat's off to you. I agree. I mean, even from a language barrier standpoint and just seeking employment, from what I hear and people that only speak a certain language, it is challenging, right?
Right.
Because most employers do require them to speak English. And even if they don't, there's always that miscommunication of what is expected of me at work, what I'm hearing. But when I'm hearing, because I don't fluently speak English, I'm misunderstanding, right? And so you all offering the services that you do help bridge that gap of communication
Right.
and that language barrier. So that is truly, truly amazing and remarkable. My hat's off to you all.
Mhm. Yeah, especially in
Thank you.
the working class, like a lot of companies don't want to hire bilingual people just to translate. So it's like a lot of companies tend not to hire Spanish people, or there is just a Spanish company that they all speak Spanish, and there's no, there's the supervisor has to stay on the job site because nobody understands English, you know. So what y'all are doing is invaluable to a lot of these people that don't understand the language, you know. That is awesome.
Sponsored by author Manny Morales.
And so, Rachel, I don't believe I asked you this question. For those attending the Speak Ready Squad LLC, what do they expect? What is the atmosphere, the ambiance?
So what they can expect is I usually have people sign up for 24 lessons. It's 3 months. And so we meet twice a week on Zoom, and each one is an hour long. And I have a whole program that's built out that I have seen success in. Usually, actually, we start the program, and after about 10 lessons, they're like, let's just talk.
Right.
So it's kind of a buildup of getting comfortable and having lots of questions and starting a conversation flow. We do role plays, we do questions, conversations, sentence starters, and then we work up to being able to just have a flow of conversation. And I've seen a lot of people will just re-sign on again afterwards just to keep up with their conversation.
Right.
So it's just a fun, light atmosphere. Some people will sign up alone, and some people will sign up with a partner, with a friend or a family member. And then you can also do one-on-one classes or group classes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And from what I'm hearing, this is more of a classroom virtual style versus one-on-one, or they do both?
Both. It could be both. The goal, I think the perfect combination is having 5 students per group, because then you have more opportunity to talk with other people and to make new friends and to connect with people either in your city or around the world. But a lot of people also will choose one-on-one because they want to focus on themselves. So you have both options, which is really great. And it's pretty flexible. Just depends on like your schedule and working with my schedule. And usually I've never had a problem finding a place for somebody.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's great.
I actually took Spanish when I was in school. And I did it really because it was just, I had to take a language class. So I was like, I know Spanish. I can do this. I'll ace it. I failed.
I'll be good at it.
Why? Because, yes, I feel ashamed. But I passed all the tests, all the homework, but that was my sleep class because I was like, I know Spanish. I don't need to be awake for this. And my teacher was like, okay, I'm going to let you sleep. She was like, yeah, class participation is part of your grade. That's why you failed. I was like, lady.
Spanish was the best class. It was so much fun. I don't know how you could sleep.
I mean, I was young. I was in high school. I needed to take an elective, and that was it. I was like, I tried German one time, and then my attention span wasn't that great. So it was like trying to learn a different language, and then it came back again. So I was like, I know Spanish. I'll ace this. I really didn't like school. And my mom was like, how do you fail Spanish? Live in a Spanish
What a
to this day, I haven't let that down to this day. Like, she still talks about that. I'm like, look, I was young.
Yeah, no, I get it. And you know what? Kudos to you for being honest. Thank you for sharing that, Manny. Like that was, I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
I like the language as well. I don't know if you can guess what I studied. I mean, I'm very rusty in it, but you said what?
French.
Oui, j'ai l'étudié 4 ans le français en l'école. Oui.
French.
You look like you studied French because you're a mom.
I was gonna guess French also.
All right.
Oui, oui.
All right.
Yeah, that was fun. The teacher, she was like, no, 0 English in the class, either all French or get out the class. I'm like, okay, but hey, I did well because I studied 3 years of it and I got all A's. So, yeah.
How about, I know you speak, Rachel, you speak a couple different languages, and you speak English and Spanish, Camila. Is there another language that you speak besides English and Spanish?
No, I speak a little bit of Portuguese, but very basic. and I would like to learn French just for fun. I don't think I will live in France or anything,
Right.
but learning any language makes you open opportunities, regardless where you are.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, I suck at German. Like, I failed that class too. I'm just tell y'all. I have no clue what to say in German at all.
It's okay, man. It's all good. Okay, you know English and Spanish, and that's one of the two main languages of the
Right.
U.S. So, I mean, hey, you know you have a second language under your belt, so you're good.
Yeah. The language of love is what they call it. That's in Spanish.
Really? El español? Oh, okay.
That's what they say.
Okay, man. I didn't know that.
A lot of people love that language. Like it's to them it's like a romantic language. The Spanish is just the way that we speak and the words. And the
That's how I feel.
right the face.
It's so pretty.
Body language that we have when we talk, and it's just so romantic.
Okay, I see your point. I will say this though, because of my roots in Spanish being Puerto Rican and knowing the language, it has made it easier to understand Portuguese. Like Camila, you mentioned Portuguese. So when I was 17, I went to Brazil to do a story on child poverty and homelessness, and I found myself when I was speaking Spanish, they understood me and they spoke Portuguese, and I understood them, and we were just speaking Spanish and Portuguese, and we were understanding each other, which was great because it's closely similar.
Right.
Also Italian. I noticed when some people speak Italian or Sicilian, there's words that I pick up that I understand what they're saying. And then when I speak Spanish, they understand what I'm saying as well. So it's really interesting how it's all intertwined.
Integrated. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Definitely. A lot of my students are they speak Portuguese, and sometimes I can hear them like talking, like trying to guess what something is in English, and I'm like, oh, I understood what you said. Do you need help with this? Like, you can ask. And then a lot of times the Spanish speakers and the Portuguese, they'll just talk to each other in their native language, and they get each other also.
Well,
It's really fun to see. Yeah.
Awesome. Absolutely.
So how about the UNF school? You just teach English there, correct?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
I teach. Yeah, I was teaching this semester was my first semester, and it was level 2. So it was right after they had their basic, and then they'd come into and they can kind of speak, but not fully. Some of them had that conversation, and some of them didn't.
Okay.
And so it was a lot of vocabulary building and confidence building. And at the end of the semester, it was really fun to see how they went from like that basic level to being able to get, order at a restaurant or look for the amenities in a hotel versus an Airbnb, or talk about movies and recommendations. So in one semester, they just came such a long way.
All right.
And it's
What's
really exciting to witness.
What's the majority of language that the people that come to the class?
Portuguese I think was the biggest majority, and then Spanish.
Okay. That's pretty
Awesome.
cool. Pretty cool. So how do y'all?
Camila, oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, how do y'all feel when like your students are just progressing? You know what I'm saying? And like, what does that make y'all feel inside? Like, I mean, if it were me, I would be so elated that people are learning something from me. So like, what do y'all feel when y'all are teaching people and they're actually getting it?
Camila, do you want to go? I know they're not your students, but you talk with people.
Yeah, they are her students, regardless if it's at school or not. They're still learning.
Se siente como que ha valido la pena el tiempo que has invertido en crear estos espacios, en promover el idioma. Se siente como satisfactorio, y ver que ellos regresan y que están esperando a que sea el siguiente grupo hace que, no puedo decirle de una mejor forma, mi corazón se llena de alegría.
Exactly. Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. What about you, Rachel?
The same. I feel alegría, like if it's really exciting when someone like a student will call and they'll be like, I had my first conversation on the phone today, or I was able to, argue with a customer. At like one of my students works at Publix and the customer was trying to tell her something and she's like, I know you're not supposed to
All right.
argue with the customer, but I was able to. And it's exciting when they tell you like I was able to, talk on the phone, make an appointment, book a restaurant for their anniversary.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, just
Yeah.
happiness.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, I'm done.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, no. For Camila, so I know you're a group where you mentioned earlier that there is people from different language levels, right? How do you keep each other honest to make sure that what is being learned and taught is true and accurate, and without anybody getting offended or anybody feeling some type of way?
That's a good question. So it's most about the environment, because everybody comes with the same purpose of learning. Well, not learning, is more practicing. They learn more vocabulary, but is what they already have learned. They're just putting them in practice. So they don't get offended because they want the feedback. They are expecting people to correct them because that's that's the reason why they are there. So it's easier to handle that. Nobody gets offended because you go and you expect to have feedback.
That's
Gotcha.
cool.
That is cool. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we are closely approaching the end of the segment. This has been fun, hablando diferentes idiomas, de diferentes países. Las dos tienen en común que fueron a España, so tengo que ver qué hay en España porque las dos fueron a España. Yo todavía no he ido. Manny, have you gone to Spain? Because both of these lovely ladies
I've never left the United States besides Puerto Rico, so I got to go. Straight up.
So I want to know though, what's in Spain? Because I've noticed that was a common ground that you both went to is Spain. I mean, whoever, Rachel, if you want to go first, because I know you mentioned it first,
Sure.
and then Camila.
I went twice with my Spanish teacher in high school. So I went in 11th grade and 12th grade. And then I went again once in college. It was like for our classes to get oh my God, I can't credits.
Okay.
And then I went again to get my teaching English as a second language certificate. So those were my 4 times in Spain.
Wow.
Y tú,
Wow.
Camila?
Y Camila.
So I went to Spain and I lived there just for 1 year, but I love the country and the city where I lived in Barcelona. I love it. Has so many culture, it has so many places to go. The food is delicious, everything. So that's why I think that's one of the reasons people go there, because of the language, because of the food, the music, the places. Whenever you're in Spain, in Europe, you can travel so easy around Europe. When you're in Europe, you can travel around Europe very easy. So to be in Spain, it lets you go easy to France or to Portugal or to Italy. So well, in my case, is because I was in Colombia and Spain was the only country that speaks Spanish. So it was easier to study a master's there in my own language, in my first language. So that's the reason I went there. But I love the city and the country. That if I could move there, I will do it.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to visit.
that's actually the birthplace of Spanish, to so to speak. Because I mean, Christopher Columbus discovered Puerto Rico, and he you know, but yeah,
Okay.
like a lot of the other Spanish speaking countries
Mhm.
are like a byproduct, for lack of a better word, of Spain. and I heard it's a beautiful place. Like Camila was saying, it's a beautiful place. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that too, actually. So hearing these two lovely ladies, I'm definitely motivated to go soon. I have to talk to
I
my
got
honey.
India out there.
Yeah.
Right, right. All right, so we are approaching the end of the show, and it is time for last minute words. So
Word.
typically, what happens here is we give our last minute words. We do marketing and promo again. So sharing your website, sharing how they can reach you, just as a reminder, because people listen and tune in at different times. If you want to make sure that that information is definitely heard multiple times for retainability purposes. So, Rachel, you were on first, so we'll give you the spotlight first and go from there. Any last minute words and then how they can reach you.
All right. So, thank you for having me on the show. It was really just a great time, and I really enjoyed this conversation. You can find me on Instagram is where I'm most active. Speak Ready Squad is my handle, and you can email me, Rachel@speakreadysquad.com, and my website is speakreadysquad.com. It's not fully finished yet, but it's there. It's just not finished, so you can find it. But definitely Instagram. And actually, we were talking about jobs today, and my whole this month on Instagram is about speaking about jobs and job interviews. So if you're working on practicing for your workplace, check out my new reels this whole month. I'll be focusing on the workplace topic.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Definitely.
Camila, last minute words and how they can find you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me as well. This has been an amazing space, and actually, thanks for the visibility of my group. And if you want to practice your Spanish or your English conversation, stay tuned. We meet every other week in Jacksonville. You can find us in Instagram at Jacksonville Spanish English, or if you download the Meetup app, you can also find us Jacksonville Spanish English conversation group.
Cool. That's awesome. I appreciate y'all coming. Like, y'all are some amazing women. I swear. Y'all are so selfless.
Thank you.
Y'all are amazing. Y'all are definitely changing the community one person at a time.
I concur. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Manny, your turn. Last minute words and how they can find you.
Okay. So like I usually say, last minute words, and it just resonates with me, and I love this quote that I actually made. It came to me one day. It's don't let the fear of failure overcome the righteousness of success. Don't be scared to take that step, to take that leap. Find something that you're passionate about, just like these two women here. They're passionate about helping people, and they're not scared to meet new people and talk to people and break the ice and help them learn a different language so they can break that barrier. Just, don't be scared. Go out there. Everybody is the same. You could find me on Instagram and Facebook, Author Manny Morales. AuthorMannyMorales.com is the website. You could find the book on Amazon, but if you DM me, I will do an autographed one and send it to you. Also, I do financial literacy. I try to help people learn how to make money work, or how money works, should I say, and help them prepare for their future. Because a lot of the information that we have, a lot of people don't know because it's not taught to us. Yeah, I'm just like these women. I try to help in the community as much as I can because we're just not prepared, and it would be a disservice to me to not give this information that, I was bestowed. So, what about you, Yessie?
Yeah, thank you for that. All three of you, I mean, especially our guest, amazing work. Kudos to you all. I echo exactly what Manny shared, that what you're contributing to in the community is very selfless, and we salute you for that. It's not easy, but you have the patience and the perseverance to do it. So thank you for that. Manny, you're always an amazing co-host. I'm really grateful for you, for your company. So kudos to you. No, I mean, it's serious, because you have to give people flowers when they're doing the right thing, right? A lot of people, what I've noticed is they're not, nowadays, it's really difficult or challenging to say thank you or give people props or kudos for when they're doing good work. But yet when somebody passes, they're quick to give them flowers. Why didn't you give them their flowers when they were alive?
Exactly.
Why didn't you express that gratitude, that appreciation when they're here? And so for the viewer and the viewers and listeners watching and listening to this, I challenge you today. If there's somebody in your life, whoever it is, that is positively impacting your life in a way, and you haven't thanked them yet or shared your gratitude, go ahead and do that.
Right.
Pass on that positivity, that beacon of light or hope, because they may need to hear it.
Right.
You may be that voice that they need to hear to keep on going. Because we never know what people are going through, right? And so with that in mind, I found a couple of great quotes under Business Mindset 101. So shout out, they have an IG page where it says, if you're worried about the cost of going for it, you should see the price of staying exactly where you are.
That is food for thought. Most definitely.
Right. Your goal should be to win, not to look like you're winning.
Exactly. There's a lot
Chase
of hope out there.
Yeah. Chase the vision, not the money. And in this case, chase your passion, because your passion is your vision. And that's something that, if you notice listening to the podcast, watching Oyendia, we stress out a lot on purpose. All of us are here on purpose. We have a purpose. These two ladies found their purpose. What is your purpose? I challenge you. Another challenge that I give to you. Find your purpose, because you are here on purpose. God put you on this earth on purpose. And so with that, I'm going to share my quote that I made. The sky is never the limit, because the galaxies are endless. Thanks for watching Oyendia TV. I am your host and producer, Yessie Rodriguez. Until next time.